Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives, July 1st, 2025. Almost got slipping with June, but realized we're in a new month. So let's get into this episode recap. So we start off with Doug and Ari. So remember Ari told her mom that she was going to check in on her grandparents to see how they're doing, considering Johnny has been arrested. We already knew that she was going to go there as an excuse to see Doug. So Doug was working there. He's working the whole shift, entire area. So she places an order and she tells him that she wants to see him after shift. Maybe they can hang out. And he said that, it's probably not a good idea to hang out like that. So she's suggesting she go up to his room, be sneaky about it so that nobody sees them. So she was asking for his key, and then he was reluctant at first because he doesn't want them to be in that kind of way again. She's saying, are you seeing somebody? Is that why you don't want to be intimate with me again? So he said that he's not seeing anybody and he does want to see her again. He just has a lot of things going on. So anyways, he did give her the key, and he got her order. And at some point, he checked a customer to see if they paid. So he saw the note and he realized that it's something from one of the henchmen that said that they need their money in advance. So he tells Ari that, it's not going to work out. He needs his key back, and he tells her to go hurriedly, right? So she's like saying, what's going on? Like, why they change your plans? Why so rude? So he said that, just go. So she comes out there, shuts the door, and that was about it. But I'm just saying, at this point I thought that I liked Doug and Ari together, or Doug and Holly, but the more and more I see it, the more this guy is no good for neither of them. He has too much baggage and he's gonna get them in trouble, and Ari's just really turning out to be one big hornball. She hasn't even set foot on Salem that long ago, and she's acting like a complete hornball, just throwing herself at Doug like this. I don't like it. So Tate is over at Sophia's place and he's just checking in on her, how she doing. So she's just over it at this point. She's tired of the baby kicking her so strongly, and he's gonna miss that. So you can tell that Tate is conflicted about giving the baby up for adoption, not being able to see the baby first walk, or the first milestones. And she, is not really interested. She just wants to move on with her life and Tate to move on with his life. But she understands that he feels some type of connection to the baby. So anyway, she tells him that she has an adoption lawyer lined up, and he's asking her why he didn't get to know this lawyer, get involved. So she said that he has a lot on his plate with the passing of his grandfather, and she didn't want to bother him, but she just wants this to be over with. So that's why she's on the haste to get, suitable parents for the baby, because she's almost due to give birth. So anyways, her mom comes in, and her mom said that they're going to the movie or a restaurant. She asked if she want to come along. So she said that, she's uncomfortable. She just wants to lay low. So, she was still budging and asking if she wanted, something from the movie or whatever. So she said she's all good. So she's assuming that Tate is leaving. So, she doesn't expect to see him when she comes back. So he's like, see you later. So anyways, at some point down the line, they talk about graduation, and he was showing, pictures from there because they weren't able to go there because of the scare. So anyways, he said that he was about to leave because her mom came back in, barging in again, and, asking if she wanted anything again. And she said that no, she's all good. So she's getting annoyed of her mom coming in, and she's saying, she doesn't know when to stop. I just want to be alone. But, Tate said, I have to leave. And she said, you don't have to leave. I like your company. And he said that no, I just wanted to check in on you. I have to go see my sister. I haven't seen her in so long. So, I just want to spend time with her. So, of course, that is to Sophia's dismay, because, again, she is into Tate, but Tate is not into Sophia. Sophia also was telling him, about Holly, doing this GD thing with Doug, and how she seems to be into him and she doesn't know what she sees in him and all that. She's just trying to get under Tate's skin with that. But at the end of the day, I don't think Tate is fazed by that. And Sophia's just making herself look desperate and annoying. At some point, she's there by herself and she's having these huge contractions, I guess, every 2 minutes, and seems as if she's going to give birth because her water broke. So she is thinking she has to go to the hospital, but I guess the baby has to come when the baby has to come. So she's just there in the room. So we know in the spoilers, and if you don't like spoilers, don't listen out, but we see that, she gives birth alone in the room, and she gives the baby up for adoption. We see Leo and Javi at some point with the baby, but I am so anxious to see how this all plays out. So Brady and Rachel are at his house, and they're playing games, just chatting up. So they're talking about her and how's her well-being, and then he gets a call from Marlena. Marlena tells him what's going on with Johnny, and then he's distressed, and Rachel is saying, can we play another game? So he said, no, we have to hold off on that. There's something I have to tell you. I have to tell you that Johnny has been arrested. So she's not surprised because she knows that she's assuming that he was the one responsible for his dad's shooting. So, um, she's expecting that he's supposed to be arrested for it. So anyways, Brady said you may have to testify against that. So she is scared about going up because she remembered that she wasn't supposed to say anything, or else her grandmother would disappear for good. So he's saying that your grandma is okay now, she's in a better space, and don't worry, I'll be there to support you, but if anything, you just have to tell the truth. So Kristen comes over and she delivers a letter from Grandma Rachel to Rachel, saying how she missed her, and she's asking Rachel to just go in the other room and just write another letter for her. So she goes ahead, and then Brady realizes that she's not just there to just drop off a letter, right? She also is there because she heard about what happened to Johnny, and she's just worried about how it's going to affect their daughter, because now EJ might renege on their deal. If Rachel testifies, EJ might want to, make her mother disappear or harm her, or maybe possibly harm their daughter. So, she doesn't want to think that EJ might stoop so low and, harm a child, yet alone his own niece. But at this point, he's protecting his son. So she is just on the fence. Brady is trying to be positive and said that, that may not happen because Johnny, said that he did not actually pull the trigger. And Kristen said, you really believe him? So he's like, he spoke to Marlena and Marlena believes him. So he's like, yeah, she's going to believe him because he's her grandson. But I'm not really convinced, and I'm just worried about how it may affect our daughter. So they're there screaming and just arguing. And then Rachel comes in and screams and said, you guys need to stop it and apologize to each other. So they did. And then, she suggested that they do a family movie night. So they sit down to the movie night. And Rachel is suggesting that her mom stay over, and how kids are. And Brady's saying, before he could answer, Tate comes in, and Tate is like, whoa, what's going on here? Because he's not expecting Kristen to be here. So Rachel said they're having a family movie night, asking him to join in as well. So at some point, Kristen and Rachel go for some popcorn, and Tate and Brady begin to talk. And Tate's like, this is a new rule or new idea. So he said, it's just Rachel's idea of us coming together. So at some point, he asks about Sophia if she's okay. So Tate said that, she's all right, no problem since then. But if only he knew that she was actually going to deliver their baby now. Chanel comes back with the suit for Johnny's arraignment, and she's just checking in on him. And she's still upset at her mother for actually, causing this whole thing. And he said, don't blame your mom. Like, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have this truth be released, and I feel a lot freer because of that. Of course, Chanel is so thick-headed that she doesn't understand that her mom is just doing her job. She can't use favoritism or, because of familiarities to actually do her job. It would be biased and it would not look good to the public. Chanel need to understand how that would look. So anyways, EJ comes in, and EJ said that he wants to represent Johnny as his lawyer. Chanel is against it because, one, EJ is his father and he's also the victim, but EJ is making a point that, okay, I'm the victim, and they would, more likely believe that, okay, Johnny didn't harm me, and, he couldn't be the one responsible for it. But Chanel is skeptical because Chanel is saying, you don't even know who shot you that night. So, like, maybe it's not going to be that credible. So, EJ, I had to laugh at EJ on this when he said to Chanel that, look, if you don't have a law degree, keep your opinion to yourself, right? So, Johnny was trying to check him on that and said that, he doesn't have to be that rude to Chanel. So, he apologized. So, Chanel just side eyes him, but I said, you go, EJ, because Chanel has been really difficult and annoying these days when it comes on to EJ. Yes, you're angry at him for what he did to your husband. At the same time, like, get over yourself, like, stop with it because it's really nagging and annoying. Like, we get it, right? So, anyways, Johnny did agree to have his father represent him against Chanel's, opinions and everything. And Chanel said, you know what? I respect your decision. If this helps you to get home, go for it, right? So while Johnny is getting organized in the other room, Chanel goes out to EJ and Chanel said, you know, I hope for your sake that this works out. And even though I do not care for you representing him, I guess we need a shark to get him out of this thing and back home, but make no mistake, like, I am his wife, you're his father. If you think that Johnny is going to take your side over mine, you have, a big thing coming. So anyways, Johnny is free to go. His dad was going to pay his bill, but Chanel already paid the bill, and they're ready to go. And she's turning back and looking at EJ like, remember what I said, remember my threat. So I'm just feeling maybe Chanel could be behind this. They're still saying racial, but I just really want this to be wrapped up. I want the Sophia baby storyline to be wrapped up. They need to wrap these things up, and I'm so excited for what's to come, especially with the day 60 anniversary thing coming. So I see a lot of things in the trailer. If you guys haven't checked it out, check out the Days of Our Lives homepage on Facebook or Instagram. It is definitely worth tuning in for. So that is it, guys. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to my channel. Comment below your thoughts on today's episode. I will see you guys tomorrow.